So, what does it take to be a great leader? I love asking my students this essential question at the beginning of a unit because they think they've got it all figured out. Students come at this question thinking, oh, I know, and they start listing off traits. And the deeper we get into defining greatness, the bigger and broader these conversations become. Some great leaders were pretty big jerks and did some really horrible things. But man, did they lead and convince and persuade enough people to follow in their footsteps. There are great leaders who were quiet and have gone relatively unnoticed in society, but their greatness is still there. This question allows us to challenge our students to think about what it takes to define a concept, define a person. And so if you're looking for that chance, this question is perfect. I want to share with you 3 different ways that this question can be used in a unit to guide instruction and to really step up the level of engagement with your students. The first way that I've seen this done very effectively and have used it myself is by using the question and the supplemental resources on their own. This is a leadership unit, and it is not about a novel or any set of longer texts. We are only digging into quick, short, little pieces. And this can be used again, like as a mini unit, maybe in between other units. It could be used at the beginning of the year to kind of kick things off and get students started. Anytime you need the type of unit that doesn't have the labor or the work of a full novel, it can kind of be a relief. So think about your year and think about where you might benefit from a unit like this. And this is one way of approaching it. So when we look at the question, right, we go through our gateway activity, we get kids talking, and then using quick examples from TED Ed, from articles, from even excerpts of plays or novels, we move through lots of examples of leadership and ask students at the end to kind of concentrate on the writing process, to concentrate on the claim writing and defining of what is great. What is great leadership? If you use a variety of sources that are pretty short, that can free up time to really concentrate on the writing portion of this question and the argumentative nature of creating a definition. So if that's something that you're looking for, this is a great question to use because you will have exactly that chance. There doesn't necessarily need to be a novel accompaniment to this question. So that's one way of using it is question, short pieces, big time writing process with the synthesis writing at the end. Another way that I've seen it done really well is paired with Julius Caesar and or paired with rhetorical analysis. So similar to the smaller pieces, instead of going through the unit defining great leadership, we can take that question a little bit of a step further in the summative by saying, what makes a great leader effective? And so that by adding that word effective, we can transform this unit into a rhetoric unit, right? Students now are going to be looking at speeches, letters, essays, and things that have come from what we've collectively defined as great leadership. And we're examining the effectiveness of that leadership or the failure to create the intended effect depending on the piece. So students can look at pieces over and over again rather than looking at the person and whether or not they're great like we did in the first example. In our second example, we're looking at the content of how they lead their people and how they effectively build that leadership through rhetoric. So that's another way of using this question that's a little bit I guess, different from what we always do with essential questions. So I hope that that gives you a little bit of inspiration. And finally is our kind of more traditional approach, which is asking the question to center a novel study or a book choice type of unit. So I've included in our website here a long list of recommendations for books that look so that line up so perfectly with leadership. I just recently, I hope this doesn't date our video here, but I just recently reread The Grace Year with my adult book club, because yes, I go to book club and it's the best night every month. I love it. And they chose, I wasn't even me, they chose The Grace Year. And I read The Grace Year a while ago, loved it, but like, I feel like I must have read it quickly to preview it for a student or something like that. But I'm telling you, I reread it just now and I thought, this is the perfect book to talk about great leadership, because we've got so many layers, so much evil, so much good, so much truth, honesty, empathy, and a lot of darkness. It is a very cool way of thinking through a novel study. And so you can do that with a single novel. You can have a list of books and have this as the anchor question that students hold on to as they're reading different books. We keep coming back to, okay, so who was the leader, or what was an example of leadership you saw in what you've just read? So even though we've all read different things in a lit circle, we can still come back to that conversation in a book club meeting or in an all-class meeting after students are talking to their book clubs with the same book. I love that approach. It's really, really powerful. So what are we looking for on the other end? I think depending on the grade level you're using this with, we are always looking to increase the levels of complexity in our way that we are able to answer this question. So what does it take to what does it take to be a great leader? Well, the students could answer that, I'd say, like at the younger level with a very simple list. It takes this, this, and this. We can have a 3-prong type of claim, and that will be a wonderful starting point for lots of students. Defining 3 traits that make a great leader. Boom, we can leave it right at that, and students can go ahead and define those and defend those and share examples of those. As we move into deeper complexity, I think it's a great opportunity to work on character trait vocabulary that's a little bit more nuanced. I have created inside our Essential Question Adventure Pack some anchor charts to help students through this. So one example, I would say that collectively people agree, in order to be a great leader, you must have pride. Right? You must have pride. So if we put pride in the middle, like if we put on a spectrum, what does that look like? What kind of leaders take that to an extreme high? And which leaders take that all the way down to bare bones humility? And where on this line from humility to egotistical pride does a great leader land? And how can a leader have pride but not be a follower or kind of just unimpressed by their kingdom and their own work, or an egomaniac? So help students work through navigating the gray area on some of these words that they would have come up with maybe on their earlier, right? If you're gonna do the 3-prong, to be a great leader, you need this, this, and this. We'll take this, this, and this, and have them, right, stretch that out a little bit more using evidence, using argument to really get into, again, the complexity, the gray area, and the nuance of what that actually entails. I hope this gets you excited about teaching this unit and you are ready to go assign this and just watch your students dig in and be curious as we want them to be. Thank you for joining me, and good luck defining great leadership.